The anime of Lucky Star is based off the 4-panel comic strip by Kagami Yoshimizu. Lucky Star has no overarching plot and is a slice-of-life comedy that follows the everyday lives of 4 high school girls and their classmates. The 4 main leads are Konata Izumi, Kagami Higuri, her fraternal twin sister Tsukasa, and Miyuki Takara. The anime starts the story with them beginning their 2nd year, and the other high school girls that are seen in the opening are introduced halfway through the series. The series supplies numerous references to popular past and present manga and anime series, as well as modern and more traditional Japanese culture. Most of the references are supplied by Konata, the very representation of an otaku. She's the childish but good-natured leader of the Lucky Star Girls. I watched this because I had heard a few people singing its praises, so I decided to watch it. I really loved how relatable it was for me. I saw a little bit of myself in each of the girls. I mean, I've been a geek all my life. I talk in references, and my family's also pretty geeky, and supplying a reference usually results in kisses and hugs while bystanders look at us like we're insane. So I thought Konata was a great character. I also think that Konata's dad reading manga to her when she was little was the sweetest thing ever. Most of my early childhood memories with my father involve us watching Star Trek together. I can be like Kagami, where I scold my friends about not doing their homework, but I've had my younger sister moments, so I can be like Tsukasa at times. And I've done airheaded things like gotten on the wrong bus because I was reading a book like Miyuki, and I'm full of facts, even if people don't usually want to hear them, but if there's something to know, people look at me. So even if none of the characters are developed that deeply, they're written like people you might know, the friends you might have. But of course, all the characters are written to be slightly over the top and ridiculous, to be funny, but not too much where they seem unrealistic. So when there was a sweet moment, I was honestly touched and even once moved enough to cry, much to my own surprise. Some of my favorite jokes from the series actually came from none of the 4 girls but Patricia Martin, who's an otaku from the United States. She's a great parody of Americans who love anime. She says things like, "Otaku are the pride of Japanese culture."
Japanese culture is so interesting.
And she thinks that the most important places to visit in Japan are places like Akiba and other otaku hubs. Also, she's only listened to Japanese music that comes from anime and doesn't listen to any of the other work of the band. And I can't say anything about that because I'm guilty of that too. And everything she's learned about Japan comes from anime. She walks a fine line between weeaboo and American otaku, but she's still great friends with Konata because of their shared interests, which I think is very cool because of how people from Japan and other nations all over the world can connect because of anime. So it's like anime may not present Japan or Japanese culture that well, but it's this huge uniting force in the world. Oh, this was one of the first anime series I watched, actually. So I did feel like I learned quite a bit about anime culture that I didn't know before. I didn't even know what moe meant when I watched the series. And everything I learned to check for accuracy, of course, since I know TV usually isn't a good learning tool. But yeah, it turns out Lucky Star does represent otakus in Japan and by extension other nations very well. And I found all this information very interesting because I'm just as interested in anime culture, if not more so, than I am in anime itself. People have compared this series to Seinfeld because it's honestly about nothing. Lucky Star is about nothing. But I think that if we're going to compare it to an American sitcom, I'd say this series has a similar charm to it that The Big Bang Theory does. Lucky Star reflects anime culture by affectionately parodying it, like how The Big Bang Theory pokes gentle fun at American nerds. One thing that I think should get special mention is the Lucky Channel segment. Sometimes I think this segment was funnier than the rest of the show, especially in the first couple of episodes, and unlike the rest of the show, Lucky Star was consistently funny.
What the hell is this? It's warm! I'm not drinking that piss!
I'd rather get something from a vending machine.
Do not mess with me! Come here, you rotten! I've been taking your crap for too long! No more! You think everything's about you, don't ya? Well, today it's my turn, Missy!
Another thing I love about this series is the dub, actually. It's definitely worth listening to, if only for Wendy Lee's Konata. Why I love this is because, in all honesty, she talks like I do. Now, I don't think I'm Konata, since I'm not a gamer. I'm diligent about my schoolwork, and I don't label myself an otaku. But in English, Konata speaks in an interesting mixture of American slang, geek speak, and Buffy speak.
I better bust a move back to Shantytown. So I'm feeling pretty darn stoked right now. We've also got a CD out. Check it. Your resistance was futile, so I'm not feeling the happy here. Oh, my lack of breastiness is something that's always really bugged me. That's a whole lot of phenomena, isn't it? Try speaking a language we understand.
I also think her performance of the cosplay cafe scene, where she switches between her Haruhi and her Konata voice, is as well performed as it is by Wendy as it is by Konata's seiyuu, Aya Hirano, who voiced both characters as well.
早くしなさいよ。遅いと罰金よ、罰金。それが客に対する態度か。
ここではこれが仕様なの。
もう決まったわよね。
私メロンソーダ。
ただのメニューには興味ありません。
I think I'd like to have the milk tea, please. Come on, what do you want? Chill out, I'm still deciding. For a brigade member, you sure are slow. I'm not a brigade member. You are if you're my customer. Your brigade leader is not in the mood for any of your lip.
The English dub is also satisfying for other well-known VAs like Carrie Walgreen, who voices Kagami, and Michelle Ruff, who voices Tsukasa and Minami. Also for the Blink and You Might Miss It roles by Vic Mignogna and Johnny Young Bosch.
You gonna pay? And I'm her assistant, Daisuke Ono.
So I think the dub tries to cater to the English-speaking anime audience like the Japanese track does for otakus in Japan. They even leave the honorifics in for the English dub. The dub is by no means perfect, however. Some of the voices are annoying. Patty's is pretty bad, I think. Plus, I think if you want to get the full experience of the references, you have to watch it in Japanese. Like I said before, this was one of the first anime series that I watched, so I was a bit lost on some of the references. Check out the link I have in the comments box that lists off all the references from anime, manga, Japanese customs, and TV shows. You definitely need a certain level of anime fan status to not be lost in the dust by Lucky Star. I also think it could be easy for guys to get bored with this series at some points, because in this one scene, the girls are talking about how skirts never fit just right. A girl might smile at that scene and think that is so true. A guy would just be waiting for that scene to be over. And there are quite a few of those scenes, so I think that some guys could be put off this series entirely. And honestly, sometimes the scenes where nothing happens but talking can make you feel like you're going to fall asleep, especially in the first few episodes before the characters grow on you. But Lucky Star did make me laugh out loud often with its witty brand of comedy that's one part reference, one part situational, which paid off nicely for my confusion at the references I have yet to understand and my patience I exercised during some of the slower scenes. I give it a 9 out of 10. Who do I recommend this to? do well since it's a parody of anime fans for anime fans. Otakus out there, if you haven't watched it, check it out. It's worth your time, even if you just watch one episode. But if you're only going to watch just one, don't watch the first episode because they talk about food for like 6 minutes. Oh, and despite what I said, I've known some guys to like this series. Not that many, but still. Upbeat as Zane.